Welcome back. We're in lesson 2.3, the conversion between the units. So we've learned about U.S. customary units and the metric system units. Now we're going to learn how to compare one against the other. So what are their equivalent values in relationship to metric versus U.S. customary? So the one that we've probably used the most in other mathematics is 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. And we would do that when converting most typically between meters and inches or centimeters and miles. There is another unit of length that we can use, and that is miles to kilometers, and a mile is 1.61 kilometers. Now, one that we don't use a lot is, or we haven't used a lot in the past, is weight and mass. And these are your two main units that we use to convert. This is when we need to convert smaller units, and this is when we need to convert larger units. And the same is true for capacity. We have a unit of conversion for smaller units, which is ounces, and larger units, which is gallons. So you're going to be sure to make a note of these unit conversions or these units of reference for whenever we come across problems that contain this crossover where we need to go from one to the other and choose either your larger unit or your smaller unit to do so. Now, as illustrated by the picture of these two rulers on the right, you'll see that this top one is in inches and the bottom one is in centimeters. And you can see that there is a definite relationship between the two. If we were to go back to our length, 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters, we can go to 2.54 centimeters, which is about right here, and see that it lines up with our inches at about 2.54. That's almost 2.6. It's in between 2.5 and 2.6. We see that the 1 inch that's where it falls. So that is how we find it's a real relationship. We find it by having had someone measure it for us and do the calculation. So you do not have to do that calculation or that comparison every time you want to convert. We just have to use these unit of references that are done for us. So with that being said, let's do a few example problems. So in example 1, we are asked to convert 110 pounds to kilograms. So in order to do that, I need to know what is my unit of reference between pounds and kilograms. And if I look, I find that 1 kilogram is equal to 2.2 pounds. And this is an approximate value. It's rounded up. So we're going to use this as our unit of conversion. So I'm going to take 110 pounds and put it over 1, and I'm going to multiply, and I'm going to put pounds in the bottom, so 1 kilogram goes in the top, and then the pound unit of reference goes in the bottom so that I can cancel pounds to leave my unit of the value that I have in a unit of measure of kilograms. So this is going to be 110 times 1 is 110, and 1 times 2.2 is 2.2, and that's going to be in kilograms. So then all I have to do is divide 110 by 2.2, and I find that that is equal to 50 kilograms. All right, pretty easy. We can't use the decimal place method when we go from pounds to kilograms or kilograms to pounds. We can only use that stair-step method when we are completely 100% contained within the metric system or the international system. When we have to cross over into U.S. customary, we have to use this unit of conversion fraction method. That's the only way that works. So the stair-step is a fast, great way to do the in metric system conversion, but for everything else, just use the current conversion system where we use the fractions, and you can't go wrong. So let's do one more. So in this problem, I have to go from decimeters to yards. So I remember my conversion of decimeters to centimeters because my unit of conversion from decimeters or from meters to the US customary system, that's going to be in centimeters to inches. So I need to remember how to do that. I'm going to write my unit of reference up here. I know that 1 decimeter is the same as 10 centimeters. So that's what I'm going to use. Then I also need to have my unit of reference from centimeters to inches. 2.54 centimeters is the same as 1 inch. And I know that 12 inches is the same as 1 foot. And then 3 feet, sorry, I messed up. 3 feet is the same as 1 yard. So I think I'm going to go ahead and condense this together. Since I know 3 feet is 1 yard, I know 12 inches is 3 feet, I'm going to say 12 times 3. And I'm going to make one unit of measure here that says 36 inches is the same as 1 yard, just to make it shorter for myself. That's all I'm going to do. All right, so now I'm going to put these into play. Let's take our decimeters and convert. So 16 decimeters. And remember, decameters has a K right here, so that's how you tell the difference. That is going to be over 1 times 10 centimeters over 1 decimeter. That cancels my decimeters. So now I want 1 inch over 2.54 centimeters. Cancels my centimeters. Now I'm going to go from inches to yards. So I'm going to say 1 yard is equal to 36 inches. All right, so that is a shorter way to do it. If I had done 12 inches is 1 foot and 3 feet is 1 yard, I would have ended up multiplying 3 times 12 and gotten 36 inches anyway. So this is just a shortcut. This is just a way to, you can do that with your units of reference if you could put them together. So for instance, what I mean by that is, if I had written 12 inches is 1 foot and 3 feet is 1 yard, I would have canceled my feet. 12 times 3 would have been 36 over 1 yard. So 36 inches would be equal to 1 yard, which is what I have here. So you can combine unit of references that have the same unit of measure into one if it helps you to do it faster. In fact, we could have done that here because we have centimeter and centimeter together. I could have said 1 dm over 10 cm, centimeters, times 2.54 centimeters over 1 inch, canceled my centimeters and said 2.54 of those is equal to 10 inches. And that would have been the same thing. All right, so let's go ahead and do the math as we have it. So 16 times 10 times 1 times 1, that's going to equal 160. And I'm going to need to bring out my calculator for this one because I can't do this in my head. It's kind of 2.54. When it gets to decimals or large numbers, I can't do that in my head, so I have to have a little help. 2.54 times 36, and I, for some reason, there we go, 91.44. Did I do that right? All right, 91.44. And this inches cancels. And then we have yards that are remaining. So it'll be in yards. So let's see. Let's divide this. Let's see if I did that right. I think I did. 160 divided by 91.44 is 1.749, which we can round. So we could just say that is equal to 1.75 yards. And for most of your work this year, we're going, unless it specifically tells you otherwise, we're going to round to 2 decimal places. So 1.75 yards would be the answer that we would be looking for in your homework, a 2 decimal place rounded version. All right, so let's look at one more practice problem. All right, this is our final example problem for this lesson. And we're going to convert 42 deciliters. Remember that D by itself is deci, so it's smaller than a liter. Liter is our base unit. So there are 10 deciliters to 1 liter because we are dividing the liter by 10 to get to deciliters. So 10 deciliters in 1 liter. That's that unit of reference. Now we're going to look at our unit of reference for liters to, what are we going to, quarts? Let's see, let's look at liters to gallons because that's what we have. So 1 gallon is the same as 3.79 liters. So there's liters to liters, so that's good. Now we need to figure out what quarts are. So we can go from gallons to quarts. So we know that there are 4 quarts per 1 gallon. So 4 quarts in 1 gallon. There's our unit of reference. It's all we need in order to solve this. So we're going to start with deciliters. So 42 deciliters. There's our initial fraction. Now we want to get rid of deciliters and go to liters. So I need to put deciliters in the denominator. 1 liter over 10 deciliters allows me to cancel. Now we've converted to liters. Now I need to go from liters to gallons. So I'm going to put gallon in the top and 3.79 liters in the bottom. So now we've gone from liters to gallons. Now I need to go from gallons to quarts. So I'm going to do quarts in the top and gallons in the bottom. I'm going to cancel gallons. Now our unit of measure is quarts. So I have 42 times 1 times 1 times 4. So 42 times 4. I'm just going to write that to make it shorter now. And 10 times 3.79, that's just going to move the decimal place a little bit. So 37.9, I just moved the decimal place. And then this is going to be in quarts. So what I need to do first is multiply this. Let's do that. So 42 times 4. So the number at the top is going to be 168. So let me change that. (42 times 4 is 168. Now we're going to divide that by 37.9. And that's 4.4327. And because we're going to round to 2 decimal places, this 2 does not round up. We drop everything past the 3. So that is going to equal 4.43 quarts. So from that, I can understand that a quart is bigger than a deciliter because there's more deciliters than there are quarts. So that means that the quantity in a deciliter is smaller. All right, so that is all we have for this lesson, 2.3. All you're going to have to do is convert the original, whatever unit system that is, to the other unit system by having a crossover. And in this case, our crossover was gallons to liters. So you just have to have those unit of references handy and remember how to swap them to put whatever unit of measure you need in the denominator in the denominator. All right, that's all I have for lesson 2.3. I'll see you in lesson 2.4.